You see Mixon and Pings backtracking towards their launch pad. The lock-on pistol, he's trying to land some cheeky shots. Even though they're able to disengage and get on out, Swizzy Putra give themselves another shot at this game.
Not locking on, but you can see Ping actually is going to pick up a player now. Once they saw Swizzy and Putrick run away, they said, okay, it's a 2v2 now. I like those odds. We'll take those odds. Going in their favor. Pablo Bevis feeling extra happy going into this match. Tried to go for a no-scope grapple blade. Not sure if this is the time, but I mean, they said, okay, it's a 2v2 now. I like those odds.
I was kind of
we'll
hoping
take
it
them.
hit secretly. You know, so don't tell them. I was kind of hoping he hit the no-scope of a lifetime. But now he one stuck on the bottom of the mountain. Pablo's still hot on the chase. Other players now putting some shots in. Pablo gets sniped. He has no choice but to literally stop in his tracks, try to heal up. What they thought was free points has the possibility of escaping them, but he takes a whole turn away from the team that actually sniped. So Pablo and Bevis could have the option here to go right back on that chase, but they need to watch out for Veno and Taysom.
Yeah, you can see on the minimap, though, it looks like their opponents are doing a rotate kind of around them, not beelining it towards them. So they should be able to make it in here, and they might have just sparted a surprise little present as they slowly creep in it, get closer and closer, take the shots, get the crack, and now continue it kind of around close quarter combat commences. One shot is all it takes. Pablo hitting it, and now that's 2 elims for the duo.
I feel like Pablo saw that one in slow motion. He had his hammer pump out the entire time, waiting for the edit to come in. And as soon as it does, quick reactions, ends that run. Continues rotating on over. All those teams in the distance heard that fight go down. You saw Chapix, his duo, slowly but surely moving in that direction. So great awareness for them to get the elimination, get the loot, and continue their journey moving forward.
Mishatini now trying to kind of take one of those back and forth box fights for the combat cash. In these situations, you might think they're just fighting for the loot. They just want to secure that extra little reward, but it's also about the damage. I mean, you know there's another duo that's going to be going for it. If you can even take some shots and do a bit of damage, it could be more than enough. Malabuka Merstash up above in this box fight.
Trying to cut
Looks
him
like
off.
they're leading it currently, but Malabuka gets cracked. Has to be careful.
Yeah, luckily for him, Merstash is there to put down the continuous pressure. They don't want to give Chapix time to heal up in this fight. All that damage go to the wayside, especially since it is a 2v1 scenario where they have a massive advantage. Nobody looking in that direction. 700 above the threshold. Things just looking so good for Merstash and Malabuka. All they have to do is end this fight, and they're already breaking in on the other side. 2 angles, better than 1. And even though Malabuka takes a haymaker, he lands a bigger one himself to take down Chapix.
Now, gonna re-heal up. They have the Flowberry Fish. They have the extra heals from those eliminations. Vidil and Resin, 295 above. Rift Island has appeared close to them. We've seen Reason and Vidil kind of interested in this location throughout these past matches as they continue to take shots on the players around. But so far, they're just gonna sit by that bush. Most likely have a Rift as well in there, which they can use to rotate later on.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Flixie. Yanis was actually able to reboot him. Last we saw Yanis, he was kind of getting chased away by Pink and Vico. I do believe towards Grand Glacier. So not only has it been one true battle for Yanis to get Flixie back up into this point, they've been rotating for eons, and they're so separated right now. Yanis needs to be careful. He's the one ahead of Flixie in towards zone, trying to go ahead and IGL him. Give him a good spot they can try to get back into the game with, because 69 below the threshold and Surge is not a feeling any
Bush. Perhawa Vexi right below. Are they below? It looks like they are, but they're going directly in for the action. Unable to get through the build. Shots connect on CZB, but it's not enough to put them above. Now down to 43 damage. As the pressure is on, the shots come through. They want to drop Flixie down, but he is aware. Janus gets cracked now. The opponents know they are getting ticked. They need to make something happen.
Yeah, still need a ton of players to go down here in the zone. 15 overall. They're on the edge of that Storm Surge threshold, so they believe they could try to out-heal it, maybe find some shots along the way, but nothing coming to fruition, and Janus goes down. Storm Surge finally does him in. Flixie has to go ahead and dig deep, but he gets taken out as well. CZB out of nowhere from the bush, he strikes.
Deciding to push on through. CZB Nathan capitalize on the Storm Surge, securing that refresh, and now continuing to rotate towards zone. It's Tayson Beno as well, 528 above, incredibly healthy, looking to see if they can do some damage on these opponents that need that Storm Surge. They know they can put themselves into risky situations. It's going to be Teeny, though, who's going to take down Scroll. His duo partner as well has already been eliminated. He's forced to play it out as a solo, ultimately leading to his demise.
Wasn't necessarily a bad situation, but he needed to separate himself to pop the med kit. Benno and Tayson working on their game, adapting on the fly. 500 above the damage threshold. Their struggles for Storm Surge are no more. And there's still a whole nother couple of teams in front of them. Even if they don't get the elimination, that's more Storm Surge. One less team to worry about. Shmoki with an underground attack, peeking through the cone, landing a good number of frenzy shots, dropping down the shield, helping in terms of Storm Surge and his survival.
He's lost weight, though. Now, it's all up to him. The pressure's on his shoulders. Is he strong enough to hold on? He is 65 above, but as the duos that need that damage continue to chase him down, he needs to find an escape route here. Crouches behind the wall. This could be enough to turn the fight around. 3 medkits, 5 minis, Flowberry Fizz, more than enough to heal back up.
Watching in every corner, making sure to clear it before they go in. And somebody just got taken out. You saw Shmoki go from 56 above to over 200 above. And I saw on the feed, Vidil might have been one of them. Prism goes down as well. The elimination feed kind of lighten up at this stage in the game. And you know exactly why. 15 teams needed to go down at one point or another. At this stage in the game, another 10 need to drop when Storm Surge activates.
6 zone. Storm now active. You said it yourself, Jacob. 10 teams. Which is it gonna be? With Reason only 14 above, having lost the deal. There's so many solos trying to scavenge as many points as possible in this 5th match. As the rift comes through, so do the options. Does he land on top of a duo that already has a base? Does he try and find an engagement to third party? This decision is going to decide what happens for the rest of the match.
And a lot of the teams here going out after that same decision. A couple of solos. Seti's just trying to go as deep into the zone as possible where it opened up. Reason still battling for Surge. Below 81, now 56. Getting a couple of shots to go through, but nothing just yet to start to build that confidence. He sees another team towards the backside of zone getting focused, so that's 2 more options for him. Lox is going to be the one, and there's a couple of shots being landed, but it's still not going to be enough to get him above the threshold just yet.
Securing those extra little shots as he's on the ground, on his knees, but even going to take the opportunity to secure the extra bit of loot. Reaper sniper rifle in hand now. One quick shot could be all it takes to put him in a comfortable position, but he's got to shoot for the consumables, for the heals. He knows he has a player close by. 39 builds to work with. Zone pulls incredibly far. A rotate is going to have to come through. Reason you cannot spend a lot of time here as he decides to go directly in for the fight, but with unable to get that elimination. Flowberry Fizz going to be popped. And just 12 seconds left until zone starts closing. He needs to begin to rotate.
Yeah, this is a tough position to be in. Seti in the same spot, but him as a solo, able to find the knock on the risk. V is still somewhere around, but now he's left as a solo. You see no shields there in the distance. He's trying to make his rotation on out, and everybody here on this side of the map should. This is going to be a far pull with the majority of the lobby already making their way on over.
Seti, 143 above. It looks like we're watching a solo FNCS Grand Finals with the amount of players that are getting eliminated. Seti's going to try and go around all the players that are beelining it into zone, and it looks like it might just be successful. So far has not lost any shield on this rotate, and even might be able to get ahead.
Yeah, take note, he's not just straight grapple blading his way there. He doesn't want to get spotted out by as many of the teams as possible, trying to remain hidden. 77 damage above the threshold. That's enough for him as a solo as he moves and finds a corner in towards the zone. Probably the least congested corner where a team is currently positioned at, which could be a blessing or it could be a curse, depending on which side of the coin you look at when it comes to Storm Surge.
Looking up at the clouds. I see a Wild Thomas HD and Queasy double ramped up. Will they pull zone though? As it's pulled more north. They need to make something happen. Nice shots onto Swizzy. Looks like no elimination, but they are 264 above. And they have the highest elevation. They're at peak right now in the lobby. But Veno and Tayson aren't happy with that as they start chopping it down.
Yeah, that's something Veno is always looking for. Queasy Thomas sees that one coming from a mile away. They couldn't hold on to it regardless. They had to rotate to the front side. So they go ahead and make the rotation just a little bit sooner than they would hope. Seti's going to go ahead and try to gatekeep them out. They don't know he's a solo, so they stagger themselves, look back, try to spot out Tayson, Veno, Putrik. A lot of opportunities, a couple of shots being landed. That's definitely going to help their Storm Surge.
209 above now.
Wow.
Man, be careful. Completely annihilated. Cracked. Left down to just the sliver. 30 HP as Thomas continues pushing in. Can he get into the box? He does. That's the knock.
That's the Thomas special. Using that Mythic Frenzy, making it look easy. Now they're going to bring the box in, gather up all that loot. They are the front side, just on the edge of the zone as well. Reason trying to do the same thing, but he's almost out of materials. He's using what he can. A leftover ramp, recycling. He's going green today.
Do they know? Just 7 builds. If the shots go on, he won't be able to handle much pressure. As Tayson and Veno, after chopping down Queasy and Thomas, now are looking to be the ones to hold on to height. They have the damage. They have the materials. Even a med kit in Veno's inventory. This could give them the win condition.
Yeah, one med kit usually just doesn't seem like enough, but the way these games have been going, very, very few heal-off opportunities. Even in that last game when it came to fruition, Pablo and Bevies are still able to come out on top without a single heal in their inventory. As Reason still trying to go through unnoticed. Luckily for him, the zone does pull back, but it's a blessing of its own, a curse in other ways, because all these teams are going to rotate, go right on over and bypass him, so he has to be careful with the minimal builds he has left.
Shots come through. Is it enough to put him above? It's not. 59 below still. Gonna be forced to medkit early here. No grapple blade. No crash pads in the inventory. Resin now has to walk towards zone. Medkit about to be used. No more heals. No more mobility. Just 3 more builds. He needs an elimination.
Yeah, take note. He's staggering himself, playing careful, looking around these corners, not wanting to get caught off guard, but in fact do the opposite, catch somebody else off guard. Changing layers, trying to make the right move because I don't think anybody's noticed him just yet. And he's sneaking up onto Queasy and Thomas. He can figure out a way to get in those builds, but I do think he has no choice but to kind of go around them instead of through. And there's going to be his opportunity, and the last of his builds going to be used.
Another duo close by. He needs to find a solo. Those are the best odds for getting that elimination, but Reason gets knocked down. Pablo Bevies wanting to make a back-to-back. 4 elims already. Solid layer continuing to stay ahead.
They were 31 points to start this game ahead of second place, and still so many placement points on the board to be grabbed. Tayson has the high ground. Thomas, Queasy, they're doing fine on the low, staying ahead of everybody else and building full on tarps just to try to make sure that this water that they're traveling over is going to be little to no worry.
Players who are running out of materials are dropping down in the water now as Veno's high ground is getting contested. Is Tayson going to be able to hold on strong? No, it's Shakeoff. It's Skydude who've taken it.
Yep, and it doesn't look like Queasy is going to be able to look back and kind of target it just yet. Veno can't do it either. Tayson and him, they just go to the front side of the zone. They still have the grapple blades and the Flowberry Fizz, so getting up this mountain isn't going to be too much of a worry for them, but they still want to target that high ground. They don't want to let this Victory Royale go for free, and now they target it towards the back. Nice shots by Veno, but he loses Tayson along the way. It continues as he has one more player in his line of sight. That player is going to get knocked, and a double elimination coming through for Veno.
3 medkits forced to start to heal off early, has the grapple blade to continue and get back up the ridge, but it's Malibuca. Crazy's been knocked down. Murstache up on the high ground. Thomas as well, popping the heal off. Everybody is doing it early.
It's his chance, but he's getting targeted. Heal off is going to get canceled. He gets taken down overall. Murstache gets dropped, leaving Malibuca by himself. But this is something we've seen Malibuca throughout this FNCS, his ability to solo clutch.
He needs the med kits though. He needs to find some heals. So many players are still down below. He's looking for these options. Where are the heals? Where are the med kits? Does he just go for the engagement as this one duo down below, still up and healthy? Mixin though in the zone. Malibuca taking shots as now he goes up for the shot, unable to connect it, holding on, just 4 more builds.
He does a good job of blocking off Mixin, feeding him to the wolves on the low ground. Chari Gira, 6 eliminations so far, but Malibuca not going down without a fight. He tries to go ahead and slingshot his way back into the zone, but gets denied entry. There goes a big game for Giris and Chari.
Great way to secure the VR, and Malibuca, gotta commend him as well for staying up as long as he did. He didn't have that win condition in terms of the med kit, so he was just trying to get the elim, trying to stay up for that second place, put himself into a 1 versus 2, back-to-back second places. But that is more than enough to bump themselves up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and even though Murstache was down, he did so much damage on the backside of zone to both Veno and Tayson. He got credit for not one, but both of those eliminations. 8 more points for him, but that just made Chari and Gira's job that much easier to take the game.
Huge boost in momentum for the duo. From just having that chemistry. I mean, we saw how many solos were forced to clutch out this late game. Storm Surge is really affecting these mid game battles and just forcing these duos to play as a solo.
Yep, but that's going to be it for Game 5. Going to throw it on over to Analyst Dex to break down all the action and to see what we have coming up in our final game of the day.
Thanks, guys. You know what? Just looking at the names that were making it to those final fights, I feel all nostalgic. It's like we're back in Chapter 4 again, boys. And I was absolutely loving it. Props to Murstache and Malibuca for getting that back-to-back second place. But Giras and Chari were the ones to take it all. This is a sneaky beaky duo. They are no stranger to a victory royale in a grand final mini-minor.
Yeah, nice victory from these guys. It's what we like to see. This is a duo that we don't necessarily get to talk too much about when it comes to top-level EU competitive. When we spoke to Giras going into this grand final last weekend on the show, and he was pretty calm about his chance. He was pretty calm about potentially being contested. I think this time they're uncontested, so they're having a little bit of, some problems maybe managing that Storm Surge, but it seems to be working out for these guys so far, and it's what we like to see. Playing that low, really, really difficult zone to actually manage there as well, Evan, going up over this hill and then back down over there as well.
Yeah, those sort of final zones or final sort of moving zones can be really tough to handle, right? When you're trying to go up that elevation, and a lot of times you ain't got much mats, but they stayed together, they stayed on it, and when you're able to connect the shots like this, you'll get good results that come from it. Again, like Frankie sort of alluded to, they're the kind of team that they have so much experience that they will sneak up on you and get a win here and there, and make you start to think, make you start to wonder. But ultimately, a really, really important game for them to sort of get into the back end of the day.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard and see where we're at, because we've only got one more round for tonight. Day 1 of our grand final. Video and Reason, it wasn't the best result for them in terms of a game, but they're clearly doing things the right way, should we say, 11, given that they've held on to that top spot.
Yeah, we saw Reason towards the end there, right, as a solo, just holding on in that game, right? And it's always going to be hard as a solo trying to clutch up in these types of lobbies. But, able to hold on to first place, which is really nice for them. Of course, Malibuca Murstache with back-to-back second places now. They are sitting way up there in second place. And it's funny seeing them there, Minnie, just because there was a lot of gamesmanships among their peers and their competitors throughout the week, right? There's this thing a lot of pros do where they'll just say, about other pros, yeah, these guys are guaranteed gonna win. Like, there's no way they can't win FNCS. They have the best drop, the best everything. And a lot of people were doing that to Malibuca Murstache, even where it might not be true, trying to get into their heads a little bit. But clearly they're not letting it affect them. They're doing really well here.
Yeah, that might have been some of my favorite bits of content on socials going into this weekend, was all the different teams trying to uncurse themselves and try and like curse another team almost. We saw Janice getting involved as well. Venno was definitely involved. They were like, yeah, you guys are just too good right now. You're doing incredible. Bloodex was getting involved as well. You know, it's like, no way you guys could throw this. And it's nice to see them not throwing it. And it's great to see that going into these grand finals as well. Because ultimately, these LAN events we have in the past, they make these guys friends, right? They make them good pals off outside of the game and off the battle bus. And when they're on it, of course, it's all about the intense battles. But it's nice to see that. Good to see Malibuca and Mustache really doing well as well, because I feel like this is a duo that's kind of gone a little bit under the radar in terms of a lot of people's predictions as the people that could win FNCS this season. So it's nice to see them doing really well. Even though that zone was a favorable one for them, I still think they have more to go.
So Bloodex was basically trying to curse Malibuca and Mustache when he said they were going to win. Is that what's happening?
He was trying to get into their head,
yeah,
right? Because if you tell someone your situation's so good, there's no way you don't win. Now they're thinking, oh gosh, now maybe I have to win. There's a bit more pressure on you, and I think that's what people were trying to.
I am shocked to my very core. My mouth has barely been closed for the last few minutes. I'm practically catching flies here. Well, I always knew Bloodex was a cheeky one, but I didn't realize he was that crafty. I'm going to be watching that man closely on the social medias. Bloodex, you heard me. Let's talk though about Thomas, because Thomas and Queasy, while they might not have got a victory royale yet, we're seeing some promising moments from this duo. I mean, always good for an elimination, at least when they make it out of that early game, Mini Miner.
Yeah, it is. And the way they played this endgame was really nice as well. We talked about it a lot this season. A lot of our analysis around this duo has been about their adaptability, whether it's not just a high ground team like we would expect from someone like Queasy. As you can see right here, playing the low ground layers, playing it very well as well. Of course, using that mythic shotgun to his advantage, in particular Thomas HD. So it's nice to see them putting that on show here in the grand finals. I had some questions about how well they were going to play, how they were going to play, because as you mentioned, Levin, they're not going to get that many games to make endgames, so it might almost be worth going for height. But it's nice to see they have the confidence in their low ground play style that they can play out these games even when they do make it optimal.
Yeah, I think what we saw from them that game sort of takes me back to the question I asked Queasy earlier on in the season. Is it worth it for you guys to fight and contest that Lavish? And his sentiment was, look, if Thomas can have that mythic auto shotty, it is worth it. And he's showing that a lot of times today, that with that in his hands, there's not really much you can do to stop him. So really excited to see these guys hopefully find some momentum off spawn.
And Levin, if he has got that mythic shotty or legendary, then he doesn't need to take height, surely. He can just chop through the middle ground.
Well, yeah, it's more optimal there, right? In terms of just like, giving him loads of situations where he can piece people up sort of in moving zones. But it doesn't mean that they have to just because of it. But yeah, it's optimal.
I like not seeing on the high ground. I get scared if I see Thomas too high. He's got too far to fall. And most of our duos have got very far to fall if they don't do well in game number 6, because it's our final game of the night. So let's head over to my favorite fallen angels. It's those devils, Jacob PR and Takata.
This has been such a fantastic day one of the FNCS Grand Finals, and I was beginning to think there for a moment that Reason and Vidil were gonna run away with it, but them going down a little bit earlier than they hoped in that last game gives us one entertaining last game.
Yeah, it was a difficult zone as well. It kind of went up this ridge where if you didn't have a grapple blade and you didn't have a lot of materials, it was incredibly difficult to get to the other side. But with just one more game to be played out today, 6 more tomorrow. As a reminder, it is a 2-day competition. Points are going to be multiplied by 1.5 tomorrow. It's just going to make the stakes that much hotter.
Yeah, I'm looking at the leaderboards, and you got to give a huge round of applause. Malibuca Mustache, Venno Tayson, a little bit of a slow start to the day, but they have picked it up and remained consistent since then. With this being the last game of the day, we'll see who ends up on top. Let's start it.
It comes down to this, Jacob. What changes are we going to see to the play styles in the last match? You already have a good understanding of who rotates in your surroundings, who drops directly on your POI, or even just split. We've seen Pink and Vico make a lot of changes, but a duo that hasn't made too many, at least in terms of drops, it's Thomas and Queasy. Are they going to be the ones to come out on top in this last match?
It's gonna be a good opportunity for them to start off hot, and exactly does. This Cringe goes down to fall damage. That's not something you see every day. This is truly the OG season. I know he's from NA, but Shades of Myth coming out.
A tragedy for Cringe. Sangil, though, can he get both? He knocks one. One shot from either player is all it's gonna take to end the day off. Buys from the vending machine a big pot. Shield comes through, has that hammer pump shotgun. And it looks like Gabix is just one shot away from being eliminated. Both players are here, Jacob.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even with the big pot that Sangil was able to just take right there, still one shot is all it's gonna take. Gabix on the other side. This is where Sangil's breaking through the build. A little bit of a pre-fire coming out from Gabix. And this fight will continue. Both of them just need that one well-placed shot. Sangil needs to be careful, and maybe it takes two. Maybe it takes two from Gabix there with the frenzy, but he ends up on top, giving him and Belusi another shot in this last game.
More than enough. Merstash Malabuka, once again, gonna be the players who secure this mythic loot, the medallion from the NPC boss here in Fencing Fields, and now will make their way towards the vault.
Business as usual over here towards Fencing Fields. Nothing changing too much, too drastically. Kind of splitting the drop between them and Cade and Diox, who've been performing pretty consistent outside the last couple games. But Pink and Vico, the fight against Hero and Kudo will continue. The forecast tower is so important for their strategy, and they have a chance to 2v1, break into the box at different angles, but he is just quickly moving through these builds to dodge a lot of what's being fired at him, and still manages to fire a shot back onto Pink.
What a huge way to turn it around here. Hero Kuduo now, both with almost 200 effective HP and shield. Meanwhile, Pink is forced to hold the structures as his duo is healing up with that fizz, but you have to be careful. The longer you take, the more options for the third parties to come through as Pink continues building out. But with only 8 builds, you can even see Giannis there creeping on closer and closer.
Hopping in the distance, Flowberry Fizz, just trying to see what all this noise is about. Is it something they can take advantage of? Vico running out of builds, 5 left. Janice now shooting over in that direction, just making it exponentially harder for a lot of these players to survive. Now the high ground from Vico, shooting down from above, finally gets into the box and gets the first knock of the fight. Giving him and Pink a huge breath of fresh air, but his teammate trying to bulldoze, trying to get the trade on back into their favor. He is full HP, full shield. He can make it a possibility, but Vico continuously on the run, not even giving them an opportunity to even land a shot.
Giannis capitalizing on this engagement taking so long. Now both duos and the original duel put into conflict. A crisis that they have to get out of as Vico barely making it on through. Just a sliver of HP and shield. Giannis is not going to let this one go.
And especially with Flixie, he's already down by himself. This is opportunity there. Even gets the piece control, boxes him in, doesn't want to let Vico escape. There's the opportunity. First shot's going to get the knock. Pink's already long gone, realizing we cannot fight this. We don't have material. We don't have heals. I'll come back for you on the other side.
This is going to be difficult. This is going to be incredibly difficult for Pink. One frenzy. One SMG. I mean, 11 builds. He can run into any player in the lobby right now, and it could be the end. But I mean, anything's possible, Jacob. We saw history be made in the semifinals with Malabuka's triple reboot comeback. Is Pink going to be able to do something similar?
And we've seen him do wonders before. We've seen Malabuka do the same thing. I feel like at this stage, anything is possible, even if you are a solo, especially the earlier on in the game that you are. A lot of space to work with. Zone doesn't do that much damage, so you can instantly try to go back. Aqua, Noah just kind of looting up, getting what they can, and they pulled zone early on in this game, so they really have a lot of time to work with before they have to move.
They started off incredibly strong in game 1 on height. Will they be able to do something similar in this last match of the day? Camiseti already taken out of the match, Andalix Sado continuing with the aggression. 6 builds though, as Vanyak once again getting closer. Synad down below, looking for a shot, looking for an option. But Pablo and Bevies, they know that something's up.
Yeah, you can see after the last couple of games, they gotten themselves into top 5 position on that leaderboard, especially coming through with a big VR here in the finals. It's got to be able to keep that momentum going. Doesn't matter how many teams end up in your direction. I think they're going to be the safest ones just towards the out. Don't really have to worry about Andalix and Sado or anybody else pushing on over in their direction. You can see Forecast Towers now being fought for. Putrick, Swizzy, it's no longer free for them on this side of the map.
Multiple duos boxed up here on the elevated mountain. Forecast Tower NPCs have appeared, as now they have to kind of make that decision. Are they going to fully go for it? Are they going to contest it? Or do they just have it free?
Those like they're the ones at least making the risk to try to go down and make a play for it. And I do believe Putrick and Swizzy were able to capture it for themselves. There goes one Forecast Tower down. And great play for Ari and Giras to try to disengage, but as soon as we tune in, Merstash threads the needle, gets the headshot snipe onto Diox. That one's going to be easy, but shots bleeding through the builds. Casper is going to take down K. That full duo, with how well they started today, it all comes to an end in our 6th and final game where they're left on the sidelines to watch it all play out.
Game-changing shots from Merstash. Isn't going to be enough to propel them up the leaderboard, as Yanis now up against Pink. We saw this engagement earlier on, but Pink was not looking healthy at all. Now he has picked up a few shields. He's recuperated what he's lost, but can he recuperate that elimination? Yanis looking to see if he can get a pre-fire. Has the upper hand in terms of materials, but not in terms of damage. Both players now cracked. It's an even playing ground.
Yeah, Yanis trying to go for a cheeky side jump, trying to catch him off guard, but no success. Looks around, even sees Phaser up top. That's King and Phaser hunting down this position.